I want to welcome you all to a VASA Gallery Talk by Clemens Ascher. Clemens is coming to us from Vienna, Austria. And we like to look at some of his work today and talk to him about what he's doing. Clemens, welcome. Happy you could join us.
Roberto, hi. How are you?
Yes,
Thanks for
yes,
having me.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you can make it. 'Cause I know you're in Vienna right now, and what impact is the virus having on Vienna?
Yeah, it led to a lockdown. I don't know if you heard about that or crazy, people had to stay at home, including me, even though I had this lots of important things to do, important meetings, and now, yeah, I'm
Well,
more
it's obvious you are an important man.
lockdown,
You're,
lockdown.
you're an
Yeah.
important man. All those important
Yeah,
meetings.
all my favorite restaurants have closed. I,
Uh,
I don't know what to do. Yeah.
well, I'm in Rome, and yesterday was the first day we could start walking a little more freer, and
Don't
restaurants
tell
are
me
all
you had a
closed.
lockdown as well.
Yeah, very tight, very tight. We're hoping that in 2 more weeks it'll loosen up, and then by the 1st of June we'll have restaurants open. But the borders are still closed. You can't get in or get out of Italy. Yeah. So okay, let's tell you what. Let's look at some of your work, and then we'll have a little
Sure.
discussion like that. Okay. So you can
Perfect.
share your
So
screen.
wait, let me share my screen with you. There you go. So, whoops. Okay. So maybe I don't know how you want it. I just say a few general things. So I'm gonna mainly show you images from one bigger body of work that I've been continuously working on for the last round about 5 years. And these are big, colorful prints, and many of them are also collages, photorealistic collages. And the entire body mainly deals with the subject of control. So to say, of societal control, and also I'm very interested, for instance, in different symbols which might be used for this control. And so I'm doing a bit of a mix between scenarios which show a constructed world, like in the first one, and like different shots of people with just different gestures and symbols and things that have some sort of a meaningful feeling to it.
Clement, does your use of symbolism and come from Western European, Western culture? Do you draw from Eastern cultures? Where do you pull your symbolism from?
Yeah, I mainly from Western culture, because this is a bit my main focus, so to say, like how we in the Western world control our people in this supposedly free environment. So I'm drawing, but then when it comes to the actual thing, I'm not referencing very specific things. I'm just giving hints and ideas, to different things like religions, but this can be, from all sorts of religions, or it might be something ancient or something, I don't know, from ancient Greece or Egypt, or you name it. It's more about this feeling that these symbols have in different contexts. And so I'm trying to recreate this feeling that something, you see something and it has a meaning. So I don't know, it's a bit confusing, sorry. I'm
Well,
talking in English.
symbols, I mean, can be confusing in different ways, and so much depends upon the reader of the symbol as to the construction of meaning within a
Mm-hmm.
certain cultural historical framework, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And so when it came to these symbols, I had at one point the idea that I wanted to create a symbol of my own, which could basically represent some of these things, some of these symbols that appear in our culture. And so I came up with the idea to create a red drink, which is called the red drink. Here you can see it, the prototype of it, so to say. And then I started to create this entire world basically around this red drink, or it just kept reappearing. And yeah, so there, for instance, we see a man drinking the red drink in a context of a fictional amusement park. Or there you can see an ad for the red drink, working with sex. And you can see different people drinking the drinks. So also when I'm doing shows, I often just mix images, you know, that where you see, I mix advertising images for instance, for this red drink. I show people drinking it, and then I show situations from this fictional world, which are just like everyday situations where you see regular people doing regular things, and these things are often like revolving around consumption, or consumption of food and drinks, but also of entertainment, like, I don't know, watching weapons of mass destruction, for instance, or other fun things, you know, that people occasionally do on a Sunday.
Clemens, you mentioned when you exhibit this work, what sizes do you usually work with?
Quite mixed. I mean, these bigger images like this one with which have more details, I show quite big. So these ones, for instance, either like with around between 1 meter and 40 and to 2 meters on the longer side. And then other ones I show a bit smaller, like this one, for instance, but also around 1 meter, or slightly more. And then this one, for instance, in the last show I did, I also had this one very big, and I had the red drink as an object placed in front of it. Or this one, I have it quite small, more like, you know, around 40 centimeters. Yeah. And oh yeah, there's another one about a very powerful lady who's doing a road trip through the USA, and different things that come across her on her trip. Yeah, it's called Hitchhiking USA, this story. Oh, there you have another man drinking a red drink. Oh, and there, for instance, again, is such a more like an everyday situation. So, you know, don't we all know these situations, you, Roberto, when you go outside in Rome and it looks a bit like this, or back home where you're from, the US, people are just, you know, hanging out outside in their concrete courtyards and drinking a red drink and stuff, and, you know, following guidelines.
You know, what's interesting too about your work is how you deal with space. Most of your work has this lot of empty, it's not really empty space, but it's open space. And then it becomes more minimalist in its design and structure. And so it's kind of, you know, interesting play on space and detail and objects. And also very few people are actually looking at the camera. I think the only one that I remember right now is the woman holding the black card up was actually confronting the viewer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So maybe I start with the last thing, that people are not looking. That's because maybe in these shots that are, you know, outside and are showing the people what they're doing, these are more like fictional constructed reportage shots, if you want it. So the people are not aware that they're being photographed. Whereas the lady with the black book, you know, she's obviously communicating with the viewer and saying, look, the black book. And to what you've said before with the spaces, it's my general method of doing these pictures is I'm creating stages or stage-like scenarios. And then I populate these stages with like marionette-like figures, if you want, that are doing their like, I don't know, that are playing their roles in this play. They're consuming or walking around or doing whatever. And the minimalism kind of comes out of this feeling of modernism that I'm trying to show. You know, I'm just trying to portray the modern world as it is, and seeing that this has been like a big influence, and also it obviously also my taste. You know, like it's also my choice to show people things very orderly and to frame everything well, and you know, to have every person, like, how do you call this, you know, framed.
So, I mean, in some ways it's very obvious that you're a constructivist, and putting together these various components into a, as you said in your introduction on the VASA exhibition you had, there's political for you, and you deal with political issues.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not really referring to like everyday politics, or also maybe from a few, you know, ironic hints, like in this one that we're seeing right now. Actually, it's more of a general vibe that you're getting from this. You know, I'm trying to like boil down what I'm experiencing in our world, you know, and trying to you know, press it or compress it very much, you know, and really push it over the top. And the feeling obviously that comes out is sometimes a bit oppressive, and if you want, you can, you know, see this in a political way, and that's how I might see it.
Well, I have to ask you this. Being an American and with everything going on now in the States, is there a red drink? Because you say if you can't reach the American dream, you can at least taste it. Is there a red drink, Clorox or disinfectant? You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's just a little reminder, you know, that everybody nowadays with the crisis has to drink the disinfectants. And maybe you can say a little disclaimer. Please, people, don't drink infectants and stick to the red drink. It's very sugary and well, it's good for you. Yeah. So maybe we view the next picture before.
How do you arrive with the focus on the color red?
Yeah, that's another one of these things of maybe what I've learned, for instance, of certain grandmasters making good movies. You know, just color red somehow says, or in German we say Achtung, you know, Achtung, something's going on. And so, yeah, it's just an additional aid to guide the viewer into the picture and into certain assumptions, which might lead somewhere or might not, but it's definitely very attention grabbing, and that's why I love it. And you always, or at least to me, it gives me the feeling, wait a minute, something's going on, you know. Say this book, the red book, you know, might be important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if you're looking at, in a political sense, there's the ties to Mao's Red Book. Um, it's,
Yeah,
you have all these connections one can make if it's really,
exactly. But that's what I like about this way of working and about giving these hints, but not being too specific that it's for everybody to judge from his point of view. You know what I mean? And seeing that we're all in this Western world together, everybody will find something that might, how do you say in English?
yeah. Okay.
That might seem familiar. Yeah.
Would you see yourself as a surrealist?
Yeah, I mean, I like everything that's surreal. I like everything that's, so to say, a bit deep, and has a bit of a dreamlike and maybe, how do you say? Don't want to say drug infused, but like a bit of a trippy touch to things. And I was definitely very much influenced by surrealist artists. So yes, maybe yes.
And you had a design background, I assume.
Yeah, I have an advertising background, to be more specific. That's why also this topic interests me very much. How we're all kind of guided by these things, and also because I've learned them and also used them, and I'm still using them in some of my works. I sometimes also have the pleasure to do some commissioned work where kind of the circle closes itself. So yeah, I'm trying to speak from an expert point of view.
Yeah, so your work, and if you really unpack it, becomes very dense, right? Becomes very thick with interpretations and meanings and references to art and that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of this process of working, which I'm gonna come to in 1 second as well. It's I can take a lot of time, to add different ideas, different layers, different narratives to each picture, and I can all the ideas that I get throughout months, I can all try to pack them into one picture or into 5 of them or whatever. And yeah, I have infinite possibilities and the complete freedom. And I love it, I love it in other works. And that's what I'm trying in my work, to really create many options within the picture and many little stories and references, as you say, and sort of different things that you can discover, so that each picture is a bit of a world of its own. Yeah. And maybe then the next one, you can see how I work, and you can also see why I didn't become a painter. So I start off with like a little sketch, where I kind of have the idea already figured out, So on this one, for instance, we see an embarrassing moment in front of a gift shop, in front of a souvenir gift shop, in such a, such a holiday type amusement park. And you have a queue in front of the gift shop, and this person tipped and spilled her chai latte and whatever else she was carrying around. And then I have this sketch, and then I go and I collect different elements, like architectural elements, like say these bricks in this building, and I built this building out of the bricks, and I shoot the floor in the sky, and then I go to the studio and I already have this stage, if you want. And then I shoot the different characters in the studio. So like the lady with the shopping bags, our hero who spilled all her milk, and all these things, and the people waiting in the queue, and different characters. And then it miraculously all gets put together in one nice picture with nice pastel tones. It all looks very much like a candy. And there you go. Yeah, the embarrassing moment in front of the gift shop.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah. And or there a series where people are in a missile park. We already seen one from that, the little sketches. And again, I got the idea traveling through the US, actually, maybe through your backyard, and there I saw such an amusement park with real missiles outside an army base, you know, with like little signs where they said the name of the missile and how many people it has killed, and you know, people could take photos and stuff. And so I got the inspiration for this missile park. And yeah, there you can see one result, like a mom looking at a fighter jet, a daddy taking a snapshot in front of a nuclear missile, I guess. Oh, there's a newer one. It's from the series A Mother's Lunch Break. It shows a man eating a hamburger, but you can also read it as an inverted Deutsche Bank logo, where the original logo stands for, you know, rising up, you know, that's what the incline, but actually it's inverted, so this one stands for decline. But that's just, you know, somebody observed this. Oh yeah, and this is a white man wandering off into the desert, and the image is called, or the work is called "Nobody Knows Why He Left the Group." Of a random selection I'm showing here, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is back to the US series. It's the lady trying to understand where she's at. She's in the US, and there's a guy eating a hamburger here and a soldier protecting the entrance to the US. And here we see a lady being attacked by a red hand, a hypnotized lady being attacked by a red hand. And yeah, that's where a little excursion ends. So maybe we chat a little more, or do you have any more questions? Shall I just select one image? Maybe we look at this image while we chat.
Yeah. You know, we've had some discussions on these gallery talks about what conceptual art is, or what conceptual photography is. Obviously, you're a conceptualist as well as a constructivist, right? I mean, how do you begin to think about what conceptual photography is being different, say, from reportage or documentary work?
I think it's the means of accomplishing what you want to say, you know. So, say I want to talk about like, let's stick to my topics about societal control, you know. Then I can either, you know, compress all my ideas into one staged scenario as I'm trying to do it, or you have to go out for an uncertain amount of time and try to shoot things that might stand for this. And of course, you can think about where do I have bigger chances. You know, maybe in front of a McDonald's, you have a higher chance of catching a man eating a hamburger than in other places. But yeah, so I guess it's this, and it's this. But then you're more like a, maybe it's like a hunter gatherer versus crops grower. So I'm more crops grower, and then hunter gatherer has to.
Okay. Well, let's stop sharing the screen and get back to another reality. Okay, there we are.
Oh.
But I like the idea of the hunter and the grower, right, as being way of talking about conceptual work versus, say, reportage. Okay, I mean, that's interesting. Maybe we'll have to come back to that another time. You know, what could you maybe just tell us a little bit about your history, how you got into photography, what interested you, what your roots are?
yeah, so actually both my parents were photographers as well. And yeah, so I kind of grew up with it, and I guess that's why it always was my medium of choice, and I never really questioned that, to be honest, even though my interest in painting became very strong in recent years. So, but I never, I mean, I do some experiments and some, you know, sketching, painting, doing stuff, but not really. And I was just trying to maybe achieve the same freedom you'd have as a painter. I tried to achieve a similar freedom in my photography. And yeah, but then back to my how I got here. Then after school, I decided that I have to learn a solid job, because I've seen my parents that being a photographer is not a very solid profession. And so I decided to become an art director, you know, to have a good, solid position in society, you know, I seduce people. And
You woke up one morning and said, I'm going to be an art director.
yeah, I'm gonna make a career, big career in advertising, gonna have lots of money and stuff. But no, and then already within the school I did for this, I realized that I really want to try this photography thing first, and maybe just have this as a kind of a backup. But obviously these skills came in very handy. You know how the business works. I learned a lot about advertising, which I'm now reflecting about in my work. So it's, yeah.
Wait, what school did you go to?
Actually, an American school, the Miami Ad School. So,
Okay.
yes, but in Miami Ad School, Europe, in Hamburg.
In Hamburg. So it's not quite American. It's American version of a German school.
No, it's a German version of an American school.
In school.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, so.
Both of them are surreal anyway. You know?
No, but
Yeah.
it's like a portfolio type school where you actually work with industry professionals from the beginning. So it's not very theoretical. It's more like hands-on. Yeah, like you Americans.
So what are you doing now? I mean, we got any work being developed? Do you you know, you have all this time at home, as we all do?
Oh, exactly. Actually, at the moment, I'm in the middle of a production of a series called Western Magic, and it's kind of a continuation, slight continuation from this modernist lunch break type thing, where you see suited white men performing their Western magic, you know, and it's again one step further towards.
Yeah. You usually work in like series, or do you see each individual piece as unique and separate?
Yeah, maybe that's a bit of a contradiction, but I do work in series, or maybe it's all not so precisely planned in that sense. I do work in series for logistic reasons, you know, because otherwise I can't do it, because it's quite a complicated process where I basically function like a fashion or advertising photographer. So I need a studio, I need models, locations, styling, blah. I need a big crew, lighting, etc. So it all has to be very organized and very, you know, money saving, so to say. Otherwise, it would get completely crazy. But then, obviously, I try to, or I build each image separately, and yeah. So in the end, it's a bit of a mix between both. You know, certain things appear just in one single image, and other things I'm spreading them out in a series. And yeah, I don't know. That's just how it's happened, how it happened, you know, and how I kind of created my own little process of how to go about things.
We're almost out of time, so I really want to thank you for taking the time and showing us your work. And I find it extremely interesting. And you also, for those interested, go back to VASA. Clemens had an exhibit in the front page, excuse me, and that's all archived. All the work is archived in VASA. All exhibitions, film screenings. and everything.
check that out.
Check it out at your local store, you know, and you buy your red drinks. Are you distributing red drinks now?
Of course. Only to wealthy people, though. Yeah, of course.
Sure. I mean, they got the money. Okay. Well, look again. I want to thank you and hope you survive being locked up in Vienna. I hope I survive.
All the best to you. All the best to you. I hope all this situation ends positive. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you take care of yourself.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.